Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're also paying our humble Dandavat Pranam to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for providing us this wonderful commentary and translation of Bhagavatam, and following the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati told us that unless we can understand something about Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī during our study of Bhagavatam, then we have wasted our time if we haven't done that. So keeping this in mind, we are praying to Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī. Yadi sevā-vañcitāḥ yasyāḥ kṛpayā vayaṃ labhema sarvaṃ prāpnumaḥ prayojanaṃ dhāmni śrī-bhagavat pade Kṛṣṇa-sambandhi sarvaṃ ca Yadi jānīmahe tutam Aṣṭādaśasu sahasreṣu ślokānāṃ bhāgavat-oktiṣu Rādhārānīṃ na vindāmaḥ tada nishphalam bhāgavat-yayinam radhikaya kripam vina vyartasyat sarva-pariśramaḥ. If we are cheated out of serving that personality whose mercy awards us everything we need, including residence in the Lord's holy Dham, and all things connected to Krishna, and if we cannot understand or discover Rādhārānīṃ within the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, then our study of Srimad Bhagavatam has been pointless. Without the mercy of Śrīmatī Rādhārāṇī, all of our efforts are in vain. So we are continuing our reading from Canto 5, the Creative Impetus, Chapter 5, Lord Ṛṣabhadeva's teachings to his sons, text 27. Mano vacho drik karane hitasya sakshat kritame paribarhanam hi vina pumanyena mahavimohat kritanta pashanna vimuktam iset. The true activity of the sense organs, mind, sight, words, and all the knowledge gathering and working senses is to engage fully in my service. Unless his senses are thus engaged, a living entity cannot think of getting out of the great entanglement of material existence, which is exactly like Yamaraj's stringent rope. Purport. As stated in the Narada Pancharatra, Sarvo padhi vinirmuktam tatparat vena nirmalam rishi kena rishi kesha sevanam bhaktir uchate. This is the conclusion of bhakti. All the time Lord Ṛṣabhadeva has been stressing devotional service, and now he has concluding by saying that all the senses should be engaged in the Lord's service. There are 5 senses by which we gather knowledge and 5 senses with which we work. These 10 senses and the mind should be fully engaged in the Lord's service. Without engaging them in this way, one cannot get out of the clutches of Maya. Text 28. Shri Suka uvacha evam anusayatmajan svayam anushitan api lokanu shasanartam mahanubhava parama surid bhagavan Ṛṣabhadeva upasama shilanam uparata karmanam mahamuninam bhakti jnana vairagya lakshanam paramahamsya dharmam upasikshamana svatanaya sata jestam parama bhagavatam bhagavajjana parayanam bharatam dharani palanayabhischa svayam bhavana evorvarita sarira matra parigraha unmata iva gagana paridana prakirna kesha atmanyaro pitahavaniyo brahmavartat pravaraja. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus the great well-wisher of everyone, the Supreme Lord Ṛṣabhadeva, instructed his own sons. Although they were perfectly educated and cultured, he instructed them just to set an example of how a father should instruct his sons before retiring from family life. Sannyasis who are no longer bound by fruitive activity and who have taken to devotional service after all their material desires have been vanquished also learned by these instructions. Lord Ṛṣabhadeva instructed his 100 sons, of whom the eldest was Bharata, who was a very advanced devotee and a follower of Vaishnavas. In order to rule the whole world, the Lord enthroned his eldest son on the royal seat. Thereafter, although still at home, Lord Ṛṣabhadeva lived like a madman, naked and with disheveled hair. Then the Lord took the sacrificial fire within himself, and he left Brahmavarta to tour the whole world. Purport. Actually, the instructions given to Lord Ṛṣabhadeva's sons were not exactly meant for his sons, because they were already educated and highly advanced in knowledge. Rather, these instructions were meant for sannyasis who intend to become advanced devotees. Sannyasis must abide by Lord Ṛṣabhadeva's instructions while on the path of devotional service. Lord Ṛṣabhadeva retired from family life and lived like a naked madman even while still with his family. Text 29. Jadanda mukha badhira pisat chonmada kavad avadhuta vesho bibasyamano pijanam grihita mauna vratas tushnim babhuva. After accepting the feature of Avadut, a great saintly person without material cares, Lord Ṛṣabhadeva passed through human society like a blind, deaf, and dumb man, an idle stone, a ghost, or a madman. Although people called him such names, he remained silent and did not speak to anyone. Purport. The word avadut refers to one who does not care for social conventions, particularly the varnashram dharma. However, such a person may be situated fully within himself and be satisfied with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, on whom he meditates. In other words, one who has surpassed the rules and regulations of varnashram dharma is called an avadut. Such a person has already surpassed the clutches of Maya, and he lives completely separate and independent. Text 30. Tatra tatra puragram kara ketavata karvata sabira vrajagosha sartagiri vanashramadishvanupatam avani chara pashadahi paribhyumano makshi kabir iva vana gajas tarjana tadhanava mehana stivana grava sakrid raja prakeshepa putivata duruktais tad aviganayan eva sat samstana etasmin deho palakshane sad apadesha ubhayanubhava swarupena swamahimavastane nasamaropitaham mamabhimanatvad avikandita manapradivim ekachara paribhabrama. Ṛṣabhadeva began to tour through cities, villages, mines, countrysides, valleys, gardens, military camps, cow pens, the homes of cowherd men, transient hotels, hills, forests, and hermitages. Wherever he traveled, all bad elements surrounded him, just as flies surround the body of an elephant coming from a forest. He was always being threatened, beaten, urinated upon, and spat upon. Sometimes people threw stones, stool, and dust at him, and sometimes people passed foul air before him. Thus people called him many bad names and gave him a great deal of trouble. But he did not care about this, for he understood that the body is simply meant for such an end. He was situated on the spiritual platform, and being in his spiritual glory, he did not care for all these material insults. In other words, he completely understood that matter and spirit are separate, and he had no bodily conception. Thus, without being angry at anyone, he walked through the whole world alone. Purport. Narottam Das Thakur says, Deha smriti nahi yara samsara bandhana kahantara. When a person fully realizes that the material body and world are temporary, he is not concerned with pain and pleasures of the body. As Sri Krishna advises in Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Matras Barshastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Shukha Dukkada Agama Paino Nityas Tam Stitiksha Bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. As far as Ṛṣabhadeva is concerned, it has already been explained, idam shariram mamador vibhavyam. He did not at all possess a material body, and therefore he was tolerant of all the trouble offered to him by the bad elements in society. Consequently, he could tolerate people's throwing stool and dust upon him and being beaten. His body was transcendental and consequently did not at all suffer pain. He was always situated in his spiritual bliss, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.61. Ishvara sarva-bhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva-bhutani yantra rudrani mayaya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Since the Lord is situated in everyone's heart, he is in the heart of hogs and dogs also. If hogs and dogs in their material bodies live in filthy places, one should not think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature also lives in a filthy place. Although Lord Ṛṣabhadeva was maltreated by the bad elements of the world, he was not at all affected. Therefore it is stated here, svamahima avastane nanena. He was situated in his own glory. He was never saddened due to being insulted in the many ways described above. Text 31. Ati sukumara karacharanora stala vipula bhavam sagala vadan ajana vavyava vin yasa prakriti sundarasvabhava hasasumukho nabhanalina dalayamana shishira tararunayata nayana ruchira sadrisha subhaga kapola karna kanta naso vighuda smitavadana mahotsavena pura vanitanam manasi kushuma sharashanam upadadhana parag avalambamana kutila jatila kapisha kesha buri baro vadhuta malina nija sarirena graha grihita ivadrishyata. Lord Ṛṣabhadev's hands, feet, and chest were very long. His shoulders, face, and limbs were all very delicate and symmetrically proportioned. His mouth was beautifully decorated with his natural smile, and he appeared all the more lovely with his reddish eyes spread like the petals of a newly grown lotus flower covered with dew in the early morning. The irises of his eyes were so pleasing that they removed all the troubles of everyone who saw him. His forehead, ears, neck, nose, and all his other features were very beautiful. His gentle smile always made his face beautiful, so much so that he even attracted the hearts of married women. It was as though they had been pierced by arrows of Cupid. About his head was an abundance of curly, matted brown hair. His hair was disheveled because his body was dirty and not taken care of. He appeared as if he were haunted by a ghost. Purport. Although Lord Ṛṣabhadev's body was very much neglected, his transcendental features were so attractive that even married women were attracted to him. His beauty and dirtiness combined to make his beautiful body appear as though it were haunted by a ghost. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 32 on Wednesday. Before we finish, were there any comments or questions from the assembled devotees? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Shripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev Ki Jai. Jai Srila Panuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda Ki Jai. Navadvipdam Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Arju Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Giri Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Shyam Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Jai Kirtan Yagi Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam, Jai Princeton Bhakti Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Hari 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 Bol. Jai Śrīmatī Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Jai Bhakti Shivam Ki Jai. Hari Bol.
जय श्रीपाद कृष्ण केशव प्रभु जी की जय।
जय
धन्यवाद।
Dhanyavad.
धन्यवाद।